Folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the ACA-910. This will be talking more about JSM or Jira Service Management basics or foundations or fundamentals. I can see the chat's already going with talking about coffee. Chad drinks his black like his soul. Ooh, that's dark. I also have been drinking it black for a while too, Chad, although sometimes I put some like oat milk in there or something. Morning, Liz, Justin, Sachin, everyone else in chat, already figuring out where that is. So today we're going to dig into the ACA 910. I do have what I think is a surprise and fun announcement towards the end, so please stick around for that. It will be in the recording as well. But otherwise, we're going to get started and talk about Jira Service Management and what that product is and why we care about it. Next session, we'll talk more specifically around how JSM supports ITSM, but both are important topics. So let me just find the right button here, and we will transition. Morning, Justin R. You better start chatting to get up in the rankings, my friend. Justin number 2 is already there. Quick waiver introduction. My name is Rob. Hopefully you were here last week to catch the first session. And hopefully you'll be here next week to catch the last session, or the third session. But I've had my career in IT across a bunch of different roles. I do spend a lot of time working with help desk teams or some kind of support team, oddly. This might be a customer-facing group or internally facing, but that's been a fairly common thread throughout my career, is the need to use some kind of ticketing system or request management system to help support a team. Now, I've been using Atlassian for about 12 years, and I have a number of different Atlassian certifications, and I'll actually be sitting down to take the ACA-900 later today, so I can let you all know how that goes next week. For interaction, please use the chat. That's going to be the best way to interact. And I do have some other ways. I can start a poll, which I'm going to drop in here right now. So I can ask questions of the group. You'll see a little pop-up. You can click the answers. I think I can do up to 4. So I'm still playing around with that. Oh, Justin, I thought you were referencing the crowns. Excuse me, Justin R. I'll go back to the last initials. Now, you can also see a question pop up, so I can start a Q&A. And I'll add that little question bar, drop your questions here, so you can just click on that and then drop any questions you have around this or other Atlassian topics. It collects them all for me, so I can easily respond to them and share them. Well, Justin R., now you're number 3, just to make it more confusing. I am also now doing content creation, mostly freelance and full-time, so your support is really appreciated. Easiest ways you can support me: subscribe and like the video. Last time I almost got 40 likes on a live stream. I wonder if we can beat that record. So I'll remind you every once in a while to hit that little thumbs up button at the bottom, and there are more ways you can support me I'll talk about as we go. But also you can share and save this recording. It will be recorded for later, and if you have other folks who you work with or who you know who might benefit, this is definitely something worth sharing, because I guarantee you they're going to have similar questions and similar challenges using Jira. And so far, about 40% of us have some kind of certification. So today we're going to dig into, again, the basics on Jira Service Management, or JSM. We'll start out with things like just what is Jira Service Management, just so we all understand the concept of this platform. But then we'll dig into things like basic navigation, some core features, and talk about a couple of use cases. In between some of those, we'll jump into Jira Service Management. I have a cloud premium instance, and we'll poke around, and we'll just see what's in there. Pretty much, I'm trying to think, everything I show you should be available in every version of Jira Cloud. I will call out differences as I see them. The biggest difference, if I use any of the AI tools, those would be premium or enterprise only. But otherwise, should all be in the free, everything else. So our first question, and about, again, half of us have a certification. I'm going to end this poll, and I'm going to pop up another one. This will be a 1 to 4 rating. And it's just, how comfortable are you with Jira Service Management? 1, not at all the way up to a 4, which is going to be like super ultra mega comfortable. So you can use that poll to interact and answer that question while I get some water. And then we're going to just start talking about Jira Service Management. Now, again, our ACA breakdown has about 70% of the exam talking about Jira Service Management. And this makes a ton of sense because this is the tool that supports ITSM, and this is the tool Atlassian makes, and this is Atlassian certification. So that if you're, when you're taking this exam, focus most of your time on understanding how Jira works. You do need to know those ITSM concepts, but the majority of your time, you're going to benefit from spending on learning Jira, all the different features and functions within it, and how it operates. All right, we've got a fairly good spread. Most folks seem fairly comfortable. We've got some folks who are not comfortable at all. Now, Jira Service Management, or JSM, stands for Jira Service Management. You'll hear me use both. And it basically is just a platform that helps teams manage requests. So this could be any kind of request. It could be my laptop broke. It could be I need to file a business plan. I need help from the legal department. I found a bug in the system. It could be almost anything. It's anything a customer might need help with that your team can provide service for. And there's many other systems similar to Jira Service Management. Again, basically it's just taking in requests for work and helping a team manage that work. Your Jira Service Management instance, I think it caps out at 10 million issues. Or 5 million, some huge number. I have worked in instances that had over 100,000 tickets a year. There are groups that have more. So it works at small scale and also gigantic scale. So you'll see this platform being used by groups of all sizes. And one spot you can go if you're looking for just regular connection on folks using this, we have a Discord channel. I'll drop the link in the chat. That's a great place to go for continuing to chat about this platform and others. So, okay, great. It helps us manage tickets. Why would we use it? There's a number of reasons teams choose Jira. In my experience, honestly, I used it because I was forced to. It was just the tool we happened to have. So that was my path getting into Jira Service Management, but it does offer a lot of benefits. It gives you a single source of truth for these requests. It's one spot the team goes to find them all. It also helps enable and support collaboration. If the whole team's in there using it, they can share information, they can help each other out, they can drop comments, they can, do what they need to do together in a virtual space to keep things moving. It also keeps things visible. This is important because you'll have customers who, demand assistance and help, and if they can just see where their work is and understand what's going on, then they're much less likely to escalate and they can just find things. It also helps your stakeholders because they can come in and just look at a report on how things are going. Hey, Kather, good to see you. And it's also fairly flexible. As I mentioned, different types of teams can use it. HR, information technology, support desk. So it offers a lot of features to support what you need. Now, that single source of truth for me is really important because if we have a team spread out around the world or even in one office, you want everything they're doing in one place. You don't want to have to dig around and go to different spots to get a good look at what's happening with your customer or with your team. And Jira Service Management gives you that single spot to follow up and that single spot to put everything you know about an incident, something broke, or somewhere else. Are we there yet? Oh, the source of truth. Just trying to catch up on Liz's comment. And again, as your team grows, having a single source of truth becomes more and more important. If it's just you, if you're in that first step of the ITSM model, and it's just you working on all of the help desk, you just have it all in your head. But as soon as there's more than one person involved, having one spot where everything lives is incredibly important to success and honestly kind of your own mental sanity, just so you know what's going on. I mentioned collaboration. This one for me is also important. Oh, there's this comment. Collaboration is really important on a help desk, again, especially as they grow, because you'll have different people with different expertise. You'll have someone who's really good at the network who can step in and provide guidance or information if there's a network problem. Or maybe I'm working on a work item and it's time for me to clock out and I have to pass it off to Chad. And then Chad can pick it up and keep working on it and I can come back later and see what's going on. You can also in Jira include non-team members. So when we think of our IT team, that might not be enough to solve a particular challenge. We might have to pull in someone else from another group. Or maybe within IT, we have different teams and one of them isn't and only one of them is the help desk. And we have to go pull in someone from network engineering. I pick on network engineering a lot. We can do that within Jira and they can collaborate and work together to help solve whatever the issue is. All right. And it looks like, About half of us are comfortable with JSM and about half of us aren't. I appreciate the folks who said not at all. It can be really hard to raise your hand even virtually and say, I don't know that, or I'm confused, or I don't understand. So thank you for being comfortable sharing that. And that Q&A should show up in the chat. So you should see the results of that little poll as we go. It's also flexible. I couldn't find a good picture of flexibility that wasn't some yoga expert or acrobat, so I just picked these little straws that have a little bend in them. But JSM can support many different teams and types of teams, and many different teams can benefit from it. It typically is used by IT teams, so that's usually what I refer to. However, I've also seen human resources, HR teams use it. Again, that was the environment where there was over 100,000 tickets a year. Excuse me. Legal teams can benefit from it, document teams. So it's less about JSM is only for IT and more about here's what I need it to do, can it do that? And generally, if you're looking to track some kind of request and have a team help manage it and do something with it, then you can use Jira Service Management to help support that. So just making sure we all understand it's not just for one thing. All right, I've got another poll I'll drop in here, but basically, how comfortable are you navigating JSM? And again, a 1, not at all the way up to a 4, like super duper comfortable. And I can imagine some folks may have a slightly lower answer given the recent UI change. And a quick coffee break. This is now a quick little ad break for Rob. If you like this content, please hit that little like button, the thumbs up. Takes just a second, and that is the easiest way to support me. And that also helps other folks find this content. It lets YouTube know that people find this interesting. So please hit the little thumbs up. There are other ways to support me. You could become a channel member. I think Chad is in here. He was my #1 first coffee sponsor. And that's why he has a nice little star next to his name. So you can choose to become a channel member, another way to help support me in what I'm going to be doing as we move forward. I need to talk about the old navigation bar. I'm including it in here, and this is what Jira used to look like. I think they just forced out the new one, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This is what Jira Service Management used to look like in Cloud, Bandit Fist. Excuse me. So there is another version of Jira, and Bandit Fist is pointing this out. DC stands for Data Center. Data Center is a version of Jira that a group would manage on its own computers, essentially. And that's good in some environments. If you have a highly regulated environment, say you're a government agency, you might have to use Data Center just to ensure everything is super secure. The downside of Data Center is updates aren't automatically pushed out. So you will be on a different version than other people may be. And that can be good because maybe version 8 isn't secure for your environment, so you have to be on version 7. But it does mean the tools you're using will differ from Cloud. So all the training I do is in Jira Cloud because I don't have a version of Data Center to play with. But keep in mind, if you use Data Center, this is what your navigation bar will look like. And this is what the navigation bar looked like for everybody up until, a few weeks ago. They released it in beta for folks to kind of play around with and try out. And now they've started pushing it out to everyone. So if you're using Jira Cloud, it's going to start looking a lot different. Now, in the old UI, your major function areas, your major buttons were in the top. And that's what we're seeing up here, project filters, dashboards, etc. The big change is those now live on the left-hand side. So in the new UI in Cloud, you're going to see it on the left. And this is confusing a heck of a lot of people because we are used to, Justin, you are 100%. I'm going to screenshot this. This is going on LinkedIn. Everyone loves it. There are no problems with it at all. I say jokingly. Personally, I like the new UI, and I'll show you why when we go live, but we can customize it a bit, and we can make it more our own, and it's a bit cleaner. It is driving a lot of people crazy because it's on the wrong side of the screen. You have to look in a different spot. So it's changing our habits if we've used it. If you're relatively new to Jira, it probably won't make too much of a difference to you, in all honesty. All the same functions are there, they just show up in a different spot and they have slightly different icons. So it doesn't really add or remove a lot of features or change how Jira works. It just changes where things are. Justin C., what is your favorite part of the new UI? I'll just call you out there on it. Most of the menus are now on the left. As I mentioned, there's a big search bar at the top. And so this is like the biggest change on the top, just a bigger search bar. And the create button shifted over a little. So that's the only difference. Now these exact options appear, as I mentioned. They now have icons. So you can visually just, tell them apart. And then search, the biggest annoyance for me is filters, honestly, is hidden kind of down at the bottom. So once you go into the project, it can be hard to find the filters menu, which is where we find Jira searches. You'll see it kind of hiding out way down here, depending on how you set things up. Let's see, and most people happen to be comfortable navigating Jira. Awesome. Justin R's getting carpal tunnel is getting carpal tunnel because of the new UI. All right. We are about to get hands-on, but I do need your help. And this is my feedback form. Always curious how I can be doing better. I've got 15, 16 responses in here. Some of the ideas included, saving questions to one spot, breaking up, doing more hands-on and live. But just a quick request for any feedback. This will take you to a Google form, totally anonymous, unless you choose to add information. So would love your thoughts on how this session is going, because there are 2 more in the ACA-910, and then I'll be doing another ACA. Every Friday, I'll just keep doing ACAs as we go and go and go. And here's my reminder to magically teleport into Jira. So the first thing I'll do is I'll switch into Jira because I am in Confluence. And I'm in the wrong site. Ooh, look at that. I guess some kind of bonus nav. I didn't expect I'd have to do this. This little Rubik's Cube lets you change apps. Now, this is the new term for products. So you'll hear me use product or app. And these are all the products I have available in my version of, or in Community Champions in this particular site. So when you think of how Jira is split up, you'll have an organization, a company, essentially, and within that you can have different sites. Each site can only have one copy of an app, though. So if we're huge and we have a site for North America folks and a site for our folks in Europe, I can have one copy of Jira Service Management in each. It's possible I have multiple sites, but I don't have every product and everything. Ooh, issues with dark mode, Rodney. I haven't noticed that. Can I quickly turn on dark mode? That's not too bad. All I did to change dark mode, while we're talking about the new UI, I've got that app switcher up at the top. I've got my home button I can click to get back to the home of the app that I'm in. I've got my search bar, and I'll touch on this more in a moment. My create button to make work items. Notifications way up in the top, this little bell guy. A little help, my own settings, and then I've got my profile, and I can click on this, and I can change my theme. I typically operate in dark mode. I do most of these trainings in light mode, I think just by default. But here we are in dark mode, and Rodney's suggesting it needs some work. I'd be curious, Rodney, what the biggest challenge with the dark mode is. I'm not seeing too much that's annoying. I'll go back to light mode, though, just so we're all on the light mode page. So again, up on the top, I've got search, and I can hit the / on my keyboard to bring up this menu. There are a lot of hotkeys, and I really like using them. If you mouse over something, you'll see what they are if they have one. So here I can see search is a /. Oh, interesting. And now we have, I'm going to just quickly put up another poll here because I see a very interesting debate going back and forth around dark mode. Let me just end my poll. And Chad is suggesting that dark mode is dark mode the best mode. Let's just see what the group thinks while we're here. That forward slash brings up search. I'm a huge fan of using the keyboard just so I don't have to move my hand to the mouse. I'm very lazy. So I'll talk about these hotkeys as we go. I don't think this shows up on the exam. They're just useful to know. You also have then on the left most of the navigation. And the one thing I like the most about it, if you click on more and customize sidebar, you can actually change what shows up. For example, the groups I work with don't use assets a lot. So I'll just untick assets. And I don't use goals, so I'll get rid of that. I don't use operations and teams. And I want filters way up at the top. So each individual user can change how this works and then save it. And you'll notice now my sidebar is cleaner. It doesn't have those things I don't use. Now they aren't gone. I can click more and I can see them. And I can always go back and re-add them. But this for me is the biggest advantage of the new UI. I have a little bit more ability to control it. The broadcast engineer, everyone at your place is using dark mode. I usually like it because I feel like it's less eye strain on my eyes. That's my own preference though. Oops. So then just to navigate, I can pop open projects and I'll see a list of projects. I can just click on them to open them up. And you'll notice as I open them, a lot more menu items appear. There's the overall navigation experience, but then within each project, what we see will differ based on project. So for example, this particular project has service requests and incidents, whereas this next one may not. Or it has more. It's got post-incident reviews. So one thing that confused the heck out of me when I was learning Jira were these little differences between projects. I just was unaware that they could be set up differently, and that made it frustrating for me personally as I was digging through them to figure out what the heck's going on. Like most systems, I can just click to open things. When you open a project, it'll drop you into the queues. We'll talk a little bit more about queues as we go, but they're basically collections of work items to help us manage them. And here we just have a work item. This is where most people spend most of their time in Jira Service Management. What we're looking at is just a representation of the ticket. Along the top, I've got the work item key, and this is just called the ticket number usually. It's the project key, EMP, an abbreviation for the project, and a sequential number. That's something that's very important. You'll see people, what's the key, what's the ticket number? That's where you find it. And then this little tiny guy next to it tells you what's called the request type or the work item type, and we'll talk more about that as we go. In the middle, we've got information on the ticket. For example, the description, the summary. There are some other features that have been popping up. One is similar requests, this is an AI tool's attempt to find related tickets. So imagine you have an environment where there's a big incident going on. This may help collect all of the related incidents. Again, this uses AI, so I'm pretty sure it's premium and up. And then playbooks are a relatively new feature. I'll drop a link to a video I did on them. I'm kind of on the fence on these things. They're intended to put information about how to resolve something directly on the work item. So this could be super beneficial. They're a bit lacking in, what's the word I'm looking for here? A bit lacking in features, at least right now. So I'll drop a link if you're curious more on these. At the bottom is where I tend to spend most of my time working on work items. This is the activity area, activity section. By default, comments show up. So here I can see someone's commented internally, only I can see this, or other agents. The customer doesn't, saying, hey, I need some help. So this is how I can collaborate. I can work back and forth with other people on my team, or I can hit respond to customer, and that will send the customer a notification, a message. So this is where once the ticket is going, most of the information about it pops up. On the right side, I've also got things like my service level agreements, my SLAs, my ticking clocks, and we'll dig much more into these next week. But then other details and other information about this work item, the reporter, the priority, the urgency, etc. Up at the top, I always forget these exist. We can watch this work item, and this means you will get notified if and when there are changes. So if you aren't the assignee, you can still keep an eyeball on how things are going. I do this with bigger work items or things that I'm particularly curious about. You can also vote on them. I don't usually see this feature used in Jira Service Management because typically we're just working on things, but You may have a new feature request or something. People can add their votes. Share, and then this huge actions menu that my giant head is in the way of. So that's the basics of navigating Jira Service Management. The best thing you can do is just go practice if you aren't very comfortable with it, and just get hands-on around how does this work. In our highly unofficial poll, it's 1 vote separates dark mode as the best mode. So if one more person votes no, it'll just be straight up tied. And we are magically teleporting back into Jira. Look at that. Quick reminder, if you like this, please like it. That helps other people find it. Here's just an open-ended question for the chat. So please use the chat to respond to this one. How do requests and work items relate? Or are they the same thing? Is there a difference? I don't know. What do y'all think? How do requests and work items relate? Justin, that might be getting picked up through my system somehow. Let me go see if I can make that stop. Hopefully that will have stopped now. If you still hear that ding, let me know and I'll see if I can go hunt it down. Oh, and the screenshot noise. Hang on, I think I can do this. Did you hear a ding there? Thank you for letting me know you can hear those. There's a setup in my system that lets me share system sounds. And apparently it's picking up, I'm getting screenshots of the poll, it's picking up some of those that I don't intend it to. Rodney, give Atlassian a few minutes and they'll change the names on everything. These are, again, this is terminology that we need to understand, both to use Jira successfully, but also if we're sitting that exam, we will just need to know when we see, oh, a work item is mentioned in the question, that will tell us something. And my head's in the way, isn't it? Let me, there we go. Seeing a lot of great answers. Requests are customer facing. I like that abbreviation, Gloria. While we are agent facing. I like that. Is that Wisconsin, Gloria? Work items consist of different request types. Not necessarily, Justin. You can have a work item with no request type, but in general, yes, you are correct, my friend. Request types can be linked to work item types, formerly called that I word that I'm not going to say out loud. Yeah, so within, yes, this is what I intend to do. I have the wrong screenshot here. But there's this thing called a work type. Now, these are our work items follow some kind of workflow, and they help us track things. And so within Jira, we have work item types. And this lets us define a type of work, hence the name. For example, you might have one called bug. And the way our team handles bugs is different than how our team handles service requests. And the way our team handles service requests is different than how we handle incidents. So our team will have different work item types in the system that we can then use to manage our work. Now, the thing we need to understand about these is that every work item type can have a different workflow, which will have different statuses, which will have different transitions. And this is something I didn't realize for a while. I would switch tickets and I would get frustrated I couldn't move it a certain way or there was a missing field. And that's because it's a different work item type. It's just set up differently. So keep in mind as you're navigating Jira, as you switch tickets, if you switch that work item type, you're going to end up with a different set of things you can do. Now, work item types can have work items, but then there's also this request type floating around. And someone nailed it in the chat. Justin mentioned it. Work items can have different request types tied to them. So the customers see the request types. And where did that answer go? Gloria got it. Internally, we will see work items. So when I'm working in a queue, for example, here I'm working on this software ticket. I'm an agent. I will see one view of this ticket. That's the work item. The customer will see something different. And this is important because it lets us shape the customer experience. we can change what the customer sees or only expose certain information to the customer. I'm going to put my head back in the right spot. There we go. But each request type is connected to one and only one work item type. So when I have a request type, I always know what work item type it's connected to. But if I'm looking at a work item type, there might not be any request types tied to it, or there might be a dozen. It all depends on my setup and how the team chooses to operate. So when I see a question about a request or a request type, I go, aha, that's customer facing. When I see a question about a work item or a work item type, I go, aha, that is internally, agent facing. Kythra, I think the biggest difference for me is just requests are customer facing, work items are internal facing. And if you're using like a Jira product for yourself, you might be doing both to like enter the work item. And I'm going to teleport in. Just a quick shout out. Again, we have a Discord channel going on, a great place to continue these discussions on things like, is dark mode the best mode? Maybe we'll have to get a debate going in there, Chad, on, what is the best mode? Here we are in Jira, and I happen to be on a work item. So this is what the agent sees, and this contains all of the information about this particular ticket. Now, if I go way up to the top, this little green icon is the work item type. The type is service request change. And this only tells me, or from this, I can know the workflow, like the steps it moves through, its status, and things like the fields that are on it. So every work item that is of this type will have the same basic setup. What I can do is now click and look at the request type. And I think it's also surfaced way down here. Under my details pane, I can see the request type is request new software. So as an agent, I can go look at this. I can click view request in portal. And this is what the customer sees when they come look at their ticket. And I got to move my giant fat head. Sorry, team. Here. Whee! Maybe I'll go up here, right? In the middle? Is the middle better? No, I'll go over here. This is what the customer sees and how the customer can interact with this ticket. So you'll notice there's a lot less stuff on the screen. And this is by design. The customer is concerned with, hey, I've got this problem. I've filled out this information very poorly. I just said yes. And I have a place I can comment. And of course, I'm in the way here. I'll just go in the middle. I have a comment bar where I can communicate with the agent and provide more information or respond to their questions. There's also some setup we can do, and we'll dig in a lot more to this next week, where we can allow the customer to do things like move the ticket through the workflow or even add other people to it. Many times someone will add their manager so their manager gets visibility. But the customer's kind of limited in what they can do. So here's the request, again, the request type. And then on the inside's one way to think about it, the work item. And this again is what I will be working on as the agent. Now, as changes are made to this, or maybe I'll hit reply to customer, I'll put a customer facing comment. I can then save this, and this will be sent to the customer. So they'll get a notification if they've hit that button. But if I go back to my request, I'll now see that communication. So I can expose certain information to the customer, and I can also then chat and communicate with them from here. But the big thing to remember, again, requests are customer facing, work items are internal facing, and every request must have a work item type it's connected to, or a work item. Quickly going to check to see what questions we have. There we go. Ooh, we're up to 16 likes, team. Remember, if you do like this, please hit that like button. Again, my record is 36. I'm curious if we can break that. All right, going to pop back in. Here's an interesting question. How comfortable are you with how Jira is organized? Again, 1, not at all. All the way up to a 4, you kind of understand the underlying stuff, how it's structured, what's within it. And I will have a quick coffee break. Understanding the organization of... I meant to say JSM. I can't edit that. So when I say Jira in this training, it kind of mentally insert JSM if I make a whoopsie. Thank you, Kyther. How comfortable are you with how Jira Service Management is organized? There we go. Understanding this is helpful both from the standpoint of you're taking the exam and you need to know these things, but also from the standpoint of, when you're thinking about Jira or using it, this will help you overcome some frustration or look up help. The biggest level within Jira Service Management is just called a project. Now, I put spaces here because in October, apparently they're going to start calling projects spaces. I have my own list of little Jira shorts kind of lampooning this. But they're changing the name of the container. Now, a project or a space in Jira is just a way to organize work items. And it's a set of work items and configurations just in one spot. Typically, a team might have their own space or project in this case, or it'll be aligned to like customer group. For example, I might have a human resources support project for all of my HR tickets, and then I might have a separate one for all of my IT tickets. The big thing to know about projects, and again, I'll start calling them spaces at some point and just lose my mind, is that every work item must exist within one project, and then the settings and configurations in each project can differ. So you might have Rob's test space set up in a certain way, and Selena's test set up completely differently to support a different use case or need. Now, we also have customer-facing things. We have a portal, and we'll go explore the portal in a little bit, but this is how a customer submits requests. So a customer typically doesn't have direct access to Jira Service Management. They won't go get that nice big blue Create button. So instead, they'll use the portal to enter their requests. And a portal is essentially just a list of all the services you and your team can provide. It might be password reset. I need a laptop. I need to report a problem. Or in this case, a PEBCAC. Curious who knows what a PEBCAC is? Well, I have that weird acronym up on the screen. There are also collections of portals, and this is something I didn't realize. If your organization has multiple portals, you'll have a help desk. So we'll go take a look at that. So there's an even bigger thing on the customer-facing side where you might have to select different portals, and this can be really confusing for customers. Typically, I just send a direct link, like I hyperlink, go directly here, just to help folks so they don't have to click around. But the portal gives them a way to kind of browse and look for what they need or what they want. Can someone help out Eliso if they know what a... See, there's two different variations. There's with the C at the end and with the K at the end. I learned it with the C. Kyther, could you illuminate us, please? Now, within Jira... Chad. Do we have a Chris in here? Because then we could... I could go by Bob. That would be a nickname. We've got a Chad. Liz got it. PEBCAC is an internal term. It's nothing I would ever use with a customer, but it's suggesting that the human is the problem. Problem exists between or behind computer and chair or computer and keyboard. It's saying that I'm clicking the wrong button. I'm misunderstanding something. So I would use this internally with other IT folks. I would never type it in a ticket, but I might say, hey, John, we got a PEBCAC, and he'd come over and kind of look at it and laugh. Or if I know someone really well, again, I can joke with them and they're comfortable with that. I might say, oh, that's a PEBCAC, and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry. So you'll see that term floating around. So back onto the agent side, we have this work item, and we just looked at one of these, but Atlassian defines it as an individual unit of work. It could be almost anything, and they recently renamed them. I've crossed out the old name. You will still see that old name floating around in documentation. I'm trying not to use it. I'm trying to change my habit, so I'm not going to say it. But work items are the work. It's the thing that as an agent, when you log in, you're going to see and work on and interact with quite a bit. And again, it's the agent's view of the ticket. and it can contain a lot more information. As we saw, there will be more fields, more things in there, because the agent needs that information to help resolve whatever the request is. So then on the customer side, we have a request. And again, customers see the request, and they might enter it in a screen like this. And we can control the fields that they see and they have to fill in. So we can prompt them for more or less information. We can make fields required. We can even do things like change the name of the field that the customer sees to make it more user-friendly. So we have a lot of options in helping the customer. And Atlassian's official, my fat fingers, how a work item is represented to a customer. I'm going to force myself to pronounce all of my typos so I don't do them again. Represented. That sounds like it could be a word. I need help. Help me. If you have a minute, help me define the word represented. All right, so over time, more and more work items will come in. You don't just want your agents to go look at, go grab one randomly. So we have this idea of a queue within Jira Service Management. And this is just a collection of work items. It's a way to sort and organize work items to serve them up to agents so they know what to work on next. They don't have to guess. They just go to the high priority queue and grab the thing off the top. They just go to the executive queue and grab the thing. Now, these are tailored by admins. So you have to be a project admin to manage these. So as an agent, mostly you're just going in and opening them up and following what's on screen. So it kind of removes a lot of the guesswork. It helps the agents understand, oh, this is what I work on next. I don't have to go worry about other stuff. Queues will be where agents spend most of their time, if not all their time in Jira, because they should just serve up the next thing. If you're working in queues, let your project admin know if you have feedback on them. You might not be able to edit them, so let your team know, hey, we could do better doing these different things. All right, coffee break time. Our unofficial poll, how comfortable are you with how well Jira is organized? And let me know if you can hear this sound. Justin R., thank you so much for coming, my friend. I really appreciate you here. Have a great day. Back into Jira, where we're going to go look at, again, help desks and queues and all of this stuff. Back onto my work item, and I've kind of shown you how to move back and forth between the work item and then the request. And again, work item is internal, request is external facing. But from here, if I look at this, well, all right, team. Nuts. Okay, that's good feedback for me. I'll go fix that. I am using the cheapest, freest version of everything possible, just so I don't have to go pay for things. And it looks like my cheapness has resulted in that annoying click, however Kythra is pronouncing it. I'll have to go figure that out. But if you want to help me figure these things out, you can support the channel in many different ways, including a like or a subscribe or a membership. See how I kind of flipped that into a nice little self-promotion? But seriously, I will spend time to try and reduce that. Up along the top, I have a bunch of links, and you can see I've got the request item, or the request itself, and then example of team managed project, and then help center. So I'm going to go all the way up to the help center. This would be organization-wide. My company would have a help center that is comprised of every portal we have. And I guess a quick question. Do you use the help center? I'm asking this because I don't. I didn't know that this level existed until I started studying for these exams. I think that the sound effect is just the generic Mac OS click sound. So that's just a straight up regular screenshot. Now the Help Center shows all the portals. So there's a bunch that are featured, but I can click show more and you can see all the other portals. Every time you make a service management project, it's going to make a new portal. And so that's why we're seeing so many of these. We have different portals, JQuil team, partnerships, etc. This is where it's really important from a customer standpoint to put good descriptions and good names so people know what they are. Along the bottom of this, I can see forms that I've used recently. So this can be helpful for someone if they know it exists, because they can go find the portal on their own. Honestly, typically I'm just giving someone a link to the exact request form type they need to go to. You can come in here and search. So this search can be useful. And one thing you'll notice, and we'll talk more about this next week, it's also serving up Confluence articles. So the Help Center and the portal give us ways it's called deflecting a ticket, where someone can find a help article and they can go just get self-service and help themselves. Or I can skip straight to one of these request forms. So this can be a useful feature if folks go use it. Big if. I'm going to open up the portal for our project though. And here I can see the portal. And then it's also got request types grouped. So these are called request groups. Great name. Again, we'll dig more into what these are and how they work next time. But this helps the customer because I can see, oh, a computer-related request. Oh, I have to report some broken hardware. Oh, I'm zoomed in too much. I have to report broken hardware. Does the portal search keywords and custom descriptions? That is a great question, Rodney. I'll see if I can figure out exactly how that's called the Help Center, by the way. This top level, and this is a terminology thing that if you don't know, it's hard to learn about, but this is called the Help Center. So if you're looking things up, definitely look up Help Center, not portal. A portal is just this. This is a portal. Just to like get overly specific. But this search, I'm pretty sure looks through the text on the request types. So if I type in just broken, I get 3 broken request forms. So I can do some testing. And another great spot to ask this would be in Discord just to see if anyone knows offhand. Then I'll drop a quick link. But this is how we enter requests. We'll just click on it. And again, I can fill out the fields. Usually, though, to be all honest, I'm just grabbing the URL way at the top. I'm copying that, and I'm giving it to someone. I send them straight here. The broadcast engineer, a great point here. You have to connect Confluence to Jira Service Management. We'll go over this process next time. It's already been set up here, which is why we're seeing some things pop up. You'll also see articles served up directly on the request. And I'll walk through how we did this or how I did this next time. But you're correct, broadcast. You have to set this up in configurations. Yep. Liz, thanks for the backup. Now within Jira, if I go back into my work item, on the left here, I've got my queues. And again, this is just a way to organize work items for agents. So when I open up that queue, it's just a predefined list of work items. I, as the agent, can't change this, but a project admin can. So project administrators are expected to manage these and add and remove them as we go. I do a lot of work with team leads who happen to be project managers to help them understand the importance of setting these up. Because you can have one that's just assigned to me. These are just my work items. I can see all the open ones. I can see, different slices of these depending on how they work. Dia, this is a great question. How to efficiently and effectively add keywords. A bit broader topic, but when I'm thinking about adding something, whether it's a work item or a new request type or a portal, I spend a lot of time thinking, okay, who would use this and why? Now, we do have like ChatGPT now, so those types of tools can help you refine what you're doing. And prompts would be something like, ChatGPT, I need your help with a description for a help desk portal. I expect these kind of customers will be using it. Please give me 5 different descriptions that include keywords that will help someone find it, no more than 15 words. And then ChatGPT can help you start to find them. The other thing you'll need to do is just review them. Every few months, go in and, is this correct? And talk to customers. Does this make sense to you, Liz? Is this, the right word to put in here to help you? And it looks like most of us are not using Help Center. Okay, good to know. And I'm going to see if I can just kill that annoying sound. Because I really want to take a screenshot, but I also don't want to deafen you all with that annoying sound. All right, I'm trying to remember if I had more slides. Let's find out. Oh, I don't. That was my surprise. I'll come back to that in a second. Um, you can have multiple queues. So one thing some groups struggle with is they have this just default queue. You can have more though. So right now there are just the three that come out of the box. If you're an agent working in queues, definitely take a minute to star the ones you're using the most. So if you click star, if you look real close, you'll now see a starred section because there might be a dozen queues in your system, but you only really need a few of them. So taking just a few minutes to customize it, and this includes doing things like changing, your UI, your menu on the left there, will be very helpful and make your life a heck of a lot easier. And it looks like most of us do not use the Help Center. That is totally fair. All right, folks, I mentioned there was a surprise. One of the things I've been doing, because I'm now freelance content creation, is thinking through additional ways to support learners like you and other folks. So I've had a lot more time to work in Udemy. There's an announcement on Monday. I'm partnering with Brittany Joyner on a project, but I also now have a Udemy course for the ACA-910. And it says Confluence course right at the top, Rob. You're failing. This goes to a Jira Service Management course, about an hour and a half. It includes a practice test. And so what I've done is taken all the content from these live sessions, boiled it down into about a 90-minute package as another way to help you all learn. This QR code will take you to that course and give you a discount on it if it's something you're interested in. Right now, it does have a password. So I'll put the password in the chat just so you have it, and I'll put a link directly to this. But this is another way you can help learn, and this will just exist out there. I'll be updating it as the exam updates. So in addition to these free live sessions, you can also get this paid course to help you learn. How old is that pic? What, Chad, what do you mean? My headshot or like the people behind me? That headshot is from Team. So that headshot's only a few months old, my friend. And the password is ACA-910. Oh, thank you. Whew. I have been using a headshot from like 5 years ago, and when I look at them next to each other, it's like, oh, I'm seeing a lot more. My beard is becoming more distinguished, is how I phrase it. So that is all for our session on JSM Basics. Again, if you like this, please hit the like button. Easiest way to support me. Just push like. It takes all of 3 seconds. And that helps other people find it. Also, I've got a webpage for ACA-910. I'm pretty sure that link goes to the right spot. But we have our Discord chat. So there's an entire channel just for ACA-910. I'll drop that in the link. Please keep studying on your own. Go get hands-on with Jira. Go review this recording. The big thing to keep in mind for the exam is knowing the terms and vaguely what they do, because that'll help jog your memory when you get there and make it easier for you to look up more information. Definitely check out the Udemy course. Again, the link's right there. I've got a few more minor tweaks on it I need to do, but it'll be open up to the public very soon. And we've got our next session next Friday. That session will be on how Jira Service Management supports ITSM. Okay, I'm going to quickly check to see what questions I might have missed. I'm not seeing any in the question collector thingamabob, so I'll close that question off. Please take a minute, drop any other questions you have in chat, though. I appreciate you all learning with me again. It's been an hour. I really enjoy these. I'm going to keep doing them. After the 9:10, I'll have another ACA lined up. So be on the lookout for this time slot, kind of repeating with different ACA courses. And again, if you want to support what I do, you can consider becoming a channel member, a coffee sponsor. I'm also working on another level, which will include a lot more of my older content. I'll be gating that behind the membership. And then check out the Udemy course. I think it's pretty solid, and it'll be a great addition to your arsenal of knowledge. But thank you all again for joining me. Really appreciate you being here. I'll hang out on this for just a moment while I clean some things up. But have a great Friday wherever you are in the world. And hang on, gotta get my head out of the way. There we go. Oh, I think I saw a heart. Was that a little heart floating up on the screen? All right, we got to 19 likes, team. That's amazing. There's about 35 folks in here, so about half. Sachin, thank you so much. Ansa, good to see you, my friend. Liz, you are very welcome. I hope the 120 treats you well. I haven't heard too much about that one. All right, no more questions. The chat should stay open for a little bit when I close this out, but thank you all again for learning with me. Looking forward to seeing you soon, and have a great week wherever you are.